they are, if you fly them in the afternoon, they actually become fit. Because it's hot in the afternoon and they're hungry. So the more you fly them in the afternoon, you know, you'll see, until you see they start getting more and more height. So once you see they get, you know, starting to, when you fly them in the afternoon and they get...
So when it's breeding, this becomes full.
Shucks. Oh, then it's just babies and babies.
Nice. Would you say it's a problem if I put my water bowls inside of the lofts? Or you prefer them outside?
The thing is, if you put them inside and it's open like this, yes, they intend to try and bath while it's there.
That's
and you don't want that, because if they bath, the water gets dirty and then they drink it again. Whereas if it's outside, they can't get in. That's why this is all closed. So when my pigeons are flying or the babies are outside,
yes,
they can't get in here to come and sit here or eat food here that are laying around and that stuff.
Got it. This one has drop wings. Probably long. This one, you can see it. Shucks.
Or it's just getting hot because I feel
nice.
It's quite sitting still for taking a taking a video. Now only protecting the. These two are babies, but it's only bred for stock.
Oh, so you're not gonna fly them.
Also, they have also single rings on because they are bred for stock. This is also the same line as Jacquier's birds. You see, they also breed the tortoiseshell and then the strawberries. You see how big the cock is?
Oh, yes.
As a baby, you can see this is going to be a cock.
Yes.
You can see the build here too. You can see this is going to be a hen. This is a cock. This is why I say you use a strong cock and a smaller hen.
Oh, got it.
You see the father of this bird. You can also see he's a quite big fella. You see the strong head with the
eyes.
The beak. You see the beak. It's strong built.
Oh yes. Nice. How did you get into roller pigeons, and where or who did you get them from?
Well, I was actually born into a roller family. Since the day I can remember, my father flew pigeons in the 80s, and then he stopped in 1991. But at that time I was still small, so nearly when I almost finished school, then I met up with one of my father's friends, and basically also two of them, Isak van Vieren and Albert van Rensburg. Then I had birds from both guys, and then a year or two later I only switched over to Albert van Rensburg birds, and since then I've bred them until 2003. Then because of work I had to stop for about 10 years, and in 2013 I started again. And then I went to the guy I give my lofts and my birds to, and I collected some of them back. There was a few of the ones that I bred myself and some of their children. So then from there I started building up the family over the years again.
100%. 100%. For the newcomers in the hobby, what are the 3 things that you would advise them to focus on when starting a roller pigeon family?
Look, for a newcomer, I would say if you go and choose birds, choose something that has a half, you can say, a guy that is got a stable family of birds. The reason for that, the guy doesn't need to be the big champion in the world or anything. Just go and buy, if you want to buy birds, get from someone that has got a stable family and basically learn from him how to produce with these birds, which birds to put with which ones, and how did he actually form his whole family, and then take it from there. Also, try to learn a lot, as most as possible from the birds that you have. How that the guys actually breed and what for that they breed, because certain guys breed birds certain ways, and I think most of the guys make the mistake. They don't understand why these birds have been bred. Yes, it's easy to say we all breed for deep rollers, but there's also certain guys, they breed for deep rollers, but they don't tell you family wise or for a strain wise that is how they actually bred them. It's most to get that understanding about the birds that you wanted.
Got it. Does the size of the loft where you keep your birds have an impact or an effect on how your birds perform in the air?
I don't think so. I think it's just according to management. I have seen guys with big lofts, and their birds also perform well. But here in Pretoria, you'll see most of the guys, 98% of them, we prefer small lofts. It's better for handling, for cleaning, and all that purpose. And also, I think it's a thing of over all these years, the guys were always using small lofts for our pigeons.
Got it. How do you choose a mentor if you wanted to start in the roller hobby?
Well, I would say you need to get to know people. Basically, the whole thing is getting into someone who are willing to help you. A lot of guys will help you in a certain way, but they won't actually give you all the ups and downs from what to do and how to handle the birds.
There are people who have started their family out of a hen or a cock. Which do you prefer, a cock or a hen, when starting a roller pigeon family?
Well, I will also say, in the old days, they believed to only use a cock. But nowadays, with how the birds developed over the years and how the guys made them better, it doesn't actually always go according to just for a cock or just for a hen. I've seen guys using cocks and hens from the same family, but they just breed it, in different directions. If you can take it that they breed from the cock, maybe the cock with a couple of hens and the hen with a couple of cocks, two birds that are related, and they bring those babies back to each other again.
Do you believe some colors roll better than other colors?
No, I don't believe so. Because from all the colors I have in my loft, they can all roll. You get same performance from all of them. There's not one that I can say is better than the other one. For me, they're all have the same basic consistency.
Okay. Do you stock everything you breed? And how do you stock your birds?
Well, what I do is normally, I don't stock all my birds. I take sometimes from the birds I bred, according to the family genes and the genetics, because my family is a lot of genetical involvement and color and performance. So there's a few things that I look for, because I can breed two birds and then they give me a certain color from the babies, and if I go look in the stock book and how the pedigree or the family is built, and I can see a certain color comes out, then I know, all right, that color, you need to bring that color back in it. Most of the time it's just I breed them in a circle, the red, black and yellow with each other, and then across, like yellow, black. The black normally makes the other colors in my strain, makes the yellow darker. Later I can show you a few
100%. Okay. In a competition team, do you fly more cocks or more hens? How do you do it?
No. It depends. For me, it goes in our competitions. I fly say for instance, if we fly an 8-bird competition, yes, I take the 8 best ones that I have and I fly them. It doesn't matter if it's more cocks or more hens or more cocks. The thing is, I train them together, cocks and hens, and when they come and going back into the loft and stuff, I just split them up in the evening when I get home. So for me, it's not about just cocks or just hens. I fly them mixed.
Okay, got it. Who would you say are the people you like and think are doing a great job with raising birds, locally or internationally, at the moment?
At the moment, well, from the Pretoria guys, you have guys like Ines van der Westhuizen, Joe Creer, Jan Erlang. There's also rising stars that are doing well, like Franco van Staden. 100%. You have some other guys also, but also with that said, we have in the clubs that don't fly in the federation. Okay. There's also quite a few guys. I know JRDV that joined the federation. You've got Peter Botha flying very well. And then from the clubs, from our club, we have a few guys, including myself, Johan Green, Danny Pretorius, got Christo Bester. It's all guys that are not belonging to the Fed, but they're also flying very, very good birds.
Oh, got it. What has been your biggest challenge in raising roller pigeons over the years?
Well, mostly it's the hawks. The hawks are killing us.
100%.
Yeah, I've stayed just outside town for since 2015 till end of 2021. There I didn't have any problems with hawks. Maybe once a year. Here in town where I'm now, you have to be very careful for hawks. Pigeons itself, yes, not so much of a problem. I mean, it's the basics. You breed, you home them, you start flying the birds, and then make sure they stay healthy, that's all.
100%. What has been your biggest challenge? Okay, wait, we're gonna cut that out. If you lost all your birds and had to start all over again, whose birds would you start off with?
I'll probably ask Ines van der Westhuizen and Franco van Staden, because also Franco van Staden, I helped him with some of my birds. So yeah, it's you always go back to the guys where you get birds from, or who you helped with birds, in the past. So you go and see what you can get back from your own strain or whatever is coming from their babies.
Okay, 100%. Why is it that sometimes a bird can be your best roller in the air, but it never produces itself when it's breeding time? I
think it's because of genetics. also a lot of guys breed different types of birds, pigeons together, and they can produce, the pair can produce good for you, but once you take that babies, and you fly competition, they do well, but once you take those birds back to the stock, they don't produce. In our own family of birds that we have here in Pretoria, it's not really the case. If you have a bird that performs well and you take it into the loft, normally you get also babies that will give you a performance. As long also said is, if you take a bird into stock, try to breed it with something that is from the same family. Don't go too far ahead of yourself and try to breed with another. Say for instance, you have a good cock. Don't try and go and breed it with a hen that is not performing well and think you're gonna produce the perfect birds, because it's not gonna happen.
100%. Okay. What's your take on Ken Whites that have feather feet? Do you think those are Ken Whites? And what is it that a person can look out for?
Well, I haven't seen Ken Whites with feather feet, except crossbreeds with local birds. I've seen quite a few. There was a guy who had crossbreeds that he tried to fly. He did well for 1 year. And then after that it was just downhill for you. Yes, there you get, they look similar to our birds. Say either the mother or the father is a Ken White, but it's a local bird. But yeah, they don't, I've never seen from, you say that the clean strain that has got feather feet.
Oh, got it. Two of your favorite colors?
Well, basically, it will be the yellows.
Okay,
and then the
100%.
blacks.
I knew you were gonna say that. Oh, it's the yellow and
The black.
oh, the black.
The yellow bullets, if you can say it.
Oh,
It's the yellow
ball.
bullets and the black bullets.
Oh, got it. When you make your birds, do you breed short to long or long to long? How do you do it?
No, I don't breed in it actually to the to the depth that birds have rolled. Yes, I do have shorter birds that I take to stock, and there is longer birds I've taken into stock. The reason for that is according to the family. If there's a specific color or that the babies are and they have performed, that you have to bring into the family to actually basically keep that composition, if you can say that, of how this family was built, to keep them in the same way.
Oh, okay. Which is your favorite, individual lofts or open lofts?
Individual.
Yes,
it's been proven over the years that individual lofts give you a quicker result on how your pairs are breeding. To open lofts, we have seen it physically, where people were breeding open lofts, and the birds sit on the ground, they eat. When you feed them, and during the day they are outside, and you find that another cock mates with the hen that is not his mate.
100%.
And then what happens is she's mated up with other cock, especially when you have a lot of the same color birds. Then that hen goes and she lays eggs and breeds the babies, but the babies are not actually from the cock that she was paired up, it's from another cock.
Okay. What do you think about roll downs? Do you think they can be used in building a family, or just breeding? They can be just bred.
Roll downs, no. I have seen guys try that before. There was a guy who passed on. He tried to build a family out of down rollers, but yes, he fly maybe 1 or 2 competitions good. Once those birds get into peak form, they will always, they start rolling down, especially with cocks. The cocks if you breed with a down roller cock, it's just going to breed you more babies that roll down. Except for a hen, if you use a hen that are very deep or she rolls down, but you breed her with a cock that's got an average roll, then you can get babies that will last. But yeah, it's not suitable to breed with down rollers.
Got it. Out of all the birds you have in your family of birds, what made you choose these families? Like, is it the way they roll, the way they kick open, the way they group?
Yeah, it was, well, the day when I went to actually start with them, or when I got to the guy that of my father's friend,
Yes.
there was a time when I was actually, when my father stopped with pigeons, and I had to finish school and stuff. The day when I got there, he said he recognized me. And then in that way, because he was my father's friend, I started, going to him, and he started learning me. And he actually was one of the two mentors, except for my father many years ago. Then Obut, he teach me, he said, listen, if you take all the other pigeons away.
What's his name again?
Obut van Rensburg.
Oh.
If you take all your other pigeons out, I will give you only from my pigeons. I already had from his, but not many. And I said, okay, now I'll do that. And from there, he teach me, how to breed the birds, color-wise, performance-wise. Basically, most of the performance is already bred in the family.
Oh, got it.
It's just a question of how you use the certain colors of the birds to breed according to the family strain. And over those years, I always do the same thing as what he did. That's why I like the way they develop. I like the way they look. Obviously, with the yellows, it's my favorite color. So yeah, the whole family consists of yellows. So.
Got it. How many birds do you stock in a year? What's your standard for stocking?
I normally take I look at my score sheet, and I choose any of the two birds that I need to put back in the family, according to how they perform. It's not to say it's going to be the deepest one. It can be a little bit, say a 4 or 5 second bird, but it's what I see from those birds that are flying. I normally look at my 5 best cocks and my 5 best hens, and I choose 1 cock and 1 hen to bring it back. The other ones I normally take and I help other guys.
Got it. When should your birds start coming into their role? From your family, when do they start coming into their role? The young birds.
Young birds.
Because I've seen birds that come in their role at 3 months or 8 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
From my own family, they roll about 1 second, 1.5, 2 seconds. From about 5 months old, they make this short rolls, and then at 8, 9 months, you will see them starting to roll deeper. Mostly when they actually start peaking is just after the big molt every end of the year, beginning of the of the next year. Then after the molt, you will see them, then they get their full potential.
Oh, got it. Can you stretch that a bit? Like, would you recommend flying birds that are in the molt? Like, what's your beliefs on that?
Yeah, I fly my birds every second day, sometimes every day. It just depends on weather-wise, or if I have the time to fly them. It's not a question of that you need them not to fly. Yes, you get birds that when they are in molt, that they will break out of the kit and they will come and sit down. You will get birds that are molting, but they will still fly perfectly. The roll might be gone. I mean, they hold a lot back on the roll. Some birds that might have rolled nicely before they start molting will completely stop. And then, after the molt, you will just see suddenly when that last number 10 feather is almost out, then you will see they will start rolling again.
Oh, got it. In a week, how many times do you fly your birds, and how do you train your birds?
Well, it depends, like I say, on weather-wise. Like sometimes, you know, in the summer times,
Yes.
you have a little bit more time in the morning because it gets light early, so we fly early morning before we go to work. And then in the afternoon, I normally fly the young ones because they are hungry, and if you fly them in the afternoon, they actually become fit because it's hot in the afternoon and they're hungry. So the more you fly them in the afternoon, you know, you will see until you see they start getting more and more height. So once you see they get, you know, starting to, when you fly them in the afternoon and they get that certain height that you want from them, once you start flying them in the morning, they will fly perfectly.
100%. In your understanding, what is selective breeding?
Well, from experience, is normally you look at basically your build of your bird, the way it rolls, you know, according to the style. You have birds that roll as they say, got a hole through it. That's with a perfect style. You have pigeons that roll sloppy. There's a few things that you need to consider when you take those birds into stock. Most of the guys, they will tell you, you know, especially with our breed in Pretoria, most of them, they have a good roll on them, so you can stock those birds. And then it's if you breed with a consistent family, then it's just basically there's small things that you look at on what we keep good record of how your bird develops. Say for instance, if I see a bird start rolling 1 second or 1.5 seconds, I will write it in my book, you know, in the comments on that bird. And from that you can see, okay, the bird has started rolling now, and then at a certain age it started, you know, rolling deeper. If a bird, like you fly a bird and it comes out, keeps on coming out of the kit and come and sit down, or you know, the bird, say for instance, are too active, it can't reach the kit, it keeps on flying just above the house, it doesn't kit all the time. Normally those birds we take them out. So yeah, there's a few small faults that you need to look out for, you know, on your birds when you fly them. Is how do they develop, how do they fly, and you know, that kind of thing, just to make sure that yes, that bird can be bred very well, but it can still have a fault in him.
Do you believe that there are flying birds and breeding birds? By that I mean birds that should never see the air and their purpose is to breed only, and that there are flying birds that shouldn't be bred but just flown and nothing else?
Yeah, in my own family I do that sometimes, especially like I said, if I breed certain pairs together and they breed a certain color, I know that either I can fly the bird and I know it's gonna roll good, or I can just say, listen, it bred me this color, and I know if I take this one, it's gonna roll good. I can take it straight to the stock. I've done it over the years, and some of my old cocks, when I started back in 2013 again, they were bred for stock, and mostly all of the family birds that you see, the yellows and the reds and the blacks, are all bred out of them, and the performance are there.
Got it. When you're pairing your birds, do you give them any medication or special foods for them to produce you good babies?
Yes, I take the normal breeding mix that you buy from
pet shops,
from a supplier,
yeah.
And then I mix 50-50 with chicken laying pellets, not anything else, chicken laying pellets especially. I make a 50-50 mix. So for instance, I take a small bucket, I'll take the breeding mix, a small bucket, and then I will add the same amount of bucket with laying pellets, and then I give to the birds since I pair them up until the babies are big, and I break up the pair.
Oh, got it. When someone says body type, what does that mean to you? What is body type according to your understanding?
Well, body type is when you look at the bird.
Yes.
If you will see some birds are big built, some birds are small built. You get cocks that have a small, say middle size or average body type, but they've got a small head. With a small head that you will see is, if you look at some of the cocks I have, they have a bigger head, and you know they are more stronger built than the other birds. My hens are always smaller.
So it must always be that a cock needs to look like a cock. It needs to be huge.
What I've seen,
yes,
and why I prefer that, yes, is I've seen cocks that looks like a hen, or let's say looks like a hen, got the build of a hen.
Got it.
Say for instance the medium small body with a small round head.
Yes.
The problem coming, they perform well in the air, but when you start breeding with them, I've seen, and even in my own experience, when it comes to feeding, those birds don't feed well. Which means that you get weaker babies, whereas if you use a strong built cock, that cock will, it will give you babies with a good sized body. They will be healthy, they will be strong, and that is actually basically what we want, is stronger birds and not weaker birds.
Got it.